Garth. Garth Bray joins us at the desk this morning. Good morning to you, Garth.
G'day, Nadine.
So, what do we think? Is there going to be positive outcomes from this meeting for New Zealanders?
You'd have to say it's smoothing the waters trade-wise, and given that so many of our firms, that are exposed to that are obviously looking for that positive news. I mean, the reports out of that meeting are the average tariffs now between China and the US, their import tariffs rather, are around about 45%. And it's not that long ago that they were talking about 100%.
Yes.
And when you think about what sort of impact that has, say, on Kiwi firms that manufacture in places like China and Vietnam, Scalar, for one example, I mean, they had an AGM last week. They were still, I think, earlier in August saying, hey, look, we think there's about a $5 million cost to our earnings on tariffs. And then that 100% sort of rhetoric started flying around. That would have really started to freak them out and perhaps make them think we need to perhaps aggressively shift production to places in the US,
Because
right?
there's so many New Zealand companies that are manufacturing in China, but their market is the US, and so they get caught up in that, don't they?
Yeah, and then they're a classic example. I think they're about 37% of what they earn comes from the US, but most of what they make isn't made there. So I would have thought for firms like them, they'll be looking at that going, okay, we've got some breathing room. Nobody thinks this is over completely because, I mean, the readouts are different. Just comparing what Trump was saying there with what we're hearing through CNBC from China, they're saying, oh, there was a common understanding on fentanyl law enforcement. There's some agreement around scaling up ag products. It's not like the done deal. And the rare earths thing is like we're pausing that, basically.
Yeah,
so.
And look, Trump changes his mind, doesn't he? You know, he might wake up tomorrow and decide that actually the tariffs are going to be 145%.
Yeah, I guess, and that's the uncertain world that a lot of these exporters are trying to deal with. But at least now, for the moment anyway, it's looking pretty good. And I guess, the markets are probably looking through that. They'd already kind of priced some of this sort of stuff in because of the talk from Besant, the Treasury Secretary, earlier in the week. So that's good news for them, I suppose. Good news for those farmers that might be wanting to buy a pair of red bands.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the farmers, right?
Yeah.
Because this massive deal was voted overwhelmingly in favour by farmers. So,
yeah.
But there's still a few steps to go here, right?
Yeah, right. So this was the sale to Lactalis. It's amazing how you finally work out how to say the French firm's name, and it probably doesn't matter anymore now because it'll be out the door. They 80% turnout for this from Fonterra farmer shareholders, 88% support. Miles Harrell told me earlier in the year that he wanted more than 50% in a tickle up in terms of support. He wanted a strong mandate. Well, he got a very big tickle yesterday. I'm sure he'll feel well tickled with this. And they are, so they're feeling like they're vindicated because Fonterra has been doing the rounds with this, making a very strong case through the year that it's not waving the white flag. It's basically accepting that someone else can do brands better and they're better to concentrate on the part of the business, the logistics and the supply part that they do so well. But late chat entry there from Dr. Alan Bollard.
There's a bit of a blast from the past.
Blast from the past. Former Commerce Commission head, former Treasury head, former Reserve Bank governor, saying this was probably not a great deal for the country, good for farmers, but if they just go and splash it on, cars and cruisers, that's not going to do anything for our trade balances. This is going to hit our gross national product figures because it's effectively shifting ownership of the manufacturing and production to a foreign firm, and the actual manufacturing at some point could shift offshore if they don't like, the rates or how they're doing it.
Is he sort of getting at the fact that the farmers have just voted for a nice big cheque rather than what's good for the country and what's good for Fonterra?
More a question that there are some different values at stake here, right? That what's good for them isn't necessarily what's good for the country would be his late entry into this kind of debate. But, like you say, plenty to play out. We'll hear probably December, roughly what the timing on the capital return payout on that $3.2 billion is, and obviously there's still some regulatory steps to go through with this overseas investment approval and a couple of other markets where they operate. Aussie's already said we don't see a competition problem with this.
Potential sugar hit for the economy, though.
Yeah.
And actually, the latest ANZ Business Outlook is suggesting maybe there are, I don't want to use green shoots, but things might be looking a little bit better.
Well, they certainly did. They sort of, Sharon Zollner from ANZ's chief economist talking in this latest this is a monthly survey they run, probably the first, I think, to capture that 50 basis point cut. And they are saying this is really good news. I think it's a 58 score, up from just below 50 last time. So some strong signs of positivity, and particularly in Auckland and particularly in retail, which is interesting, I suppose.
Which is usually hard hit because no one's spending any money.
Well, apparently maybe they are now. We'll see. Well, there's an expectation that they will, is possibly a better way to put it, and an idea that maybe sort of about 50% of the effect of that OCR change has flowed through, because there are about half the number of lenders that are still ready to roll over onto those kinds of rates. The idea that if people have that wealth effect, they might use some of that credit to go shop. We will see. But basically, she's also making the point that we've sort of unwound from the COVID bubble, that firm and household debt is now lower than pre-COVID as a share of GDP. So we're kind of back ready on the springboard to take off. A bit of a late spring.
Have you got your outfit sorted for trick-or-treating tonight, Gar?
What do you mean? This is perfect. this is my little bubbles, kind of, this is my like Pennywise the Clown balloons there. Yeah.
Pennywise, I could see it.
There we are, yeah. No, I'll be more interested in the tricks of the treats coming out of the consumer confidence survey data that the bank will put out a bit later today.
All right, thank you.